Sarah met him 3 weeks ago. At first, everything felt effortless. He texted her every morning. He called her beautiful. They talked for hours. She couldn't stop thinking about him. Then suddenly, he disappeared for 3 days. No explanation. No message. Sarah checked her phone again and again. And when he finally came back, she felt even more attracted to him than before. She thought, this must be chemistry. But what if part of that feeling wasn't chemistry at all? What if it was uncertainty? Because sometimes, the person who creates the strongest emotional reaction isn't necessarily the person you're most compatible with. Sometimes, the red flag is hidden inside the chemistry. First, let's make something clear. Intense attraction isn't automatically unhealthy. You can genuinely feel chemistry with someone. Romantic attraction involves brain systems associated with motivation and reward. And researchers have found activity in reward-related regions during intense romantic love. So that rush you feel around someone? It's real. But here's the important distinction. Chemistry tells you how strongly you're attracted to someone. It doesn't tell you whether that person is good for you. Compatibility asks different questions. Do your values fit? Can you communicate? Do you feel respected? Can you trust each other? And perhaps most importantly, do you feel emotionally safe? Someone can make your heart race, while making your life emotionally exhausting. Now imagine 2 people. The first person is consistent. They communicate clearly. They show interest. You know where you stand. The second person is unpredictable. One day they're completely interested. The next day they're distant. Sometimes they text constantly. Then they disappear. Which person are you more likely to think about? You might assume it's the first. But research on romantic attraction has found something interesting. In one study, uncertainty about whether another person liked them was associated with people thinking about that person more and, in that study, reporting greater attraction. Think about what that means. Not knowing can sometimes make someone more mentally important. And once uncertainty enters the picture, your brain starts looking for answers. Did I say something wrong? Why haven't they replied? Are they losing interest? What are they thinking? You check your phone. You reread their messages. You analyze their behavior. And suddenly, someone who was barely on your mind yesterday is occupying your thoughts all day. Now imagine the pattern continues. They come close. You feel amazing. They pull away. You become anxious. They come back. You feel relief. Then they disappear again. At some point, you're no longer responding only to the person. You're responding to the pattern. And this is where attraction can become confusing. You might tell yourself, I've never felt this strongly about anyone. But ask yourself, have I ever felt this uncertain about anyone? Because those 2 feelings can look surprisingly similar from the inside. Excitement can feel like anxiety. Relief can feel like happiness. And constant thinking can feel like deep connection. But sometimes, it's simply your mind trying to resolve uncertainty. That doesn't mean the person is intentionally manipulating you. And it doesn't mean every inconsistent person is toxic. It means the pattern deserves your attention. So how do you tell the difference between genuine chemistry and attraction amplified by uncertainty? Ask yourself 5 questions. 1. Do I feel secure or constantly uncertain? Healthy attraction can be exciting. But if you're constantly wondering where you stand, pay attention to that feeling. 2. Is their interest consistent? One busy day doesn't mean anything. One unanswered message doesn't mean anything. Look at the pattern. Do they generally communicate and show up? Or are you repeatedly pulled close and pushed away? 3. Do I like who they actually are? Or are you attached to who you hope they'll become? Sometimes we're not attracted to the person. We're attached to their potential. 4. What happens to my mood when they disappear? Can you continue your day normally? Or does their silence completely change your emotional state? If your mood depends heavily on their attention, that's worth examining. 5. Would the attraction feel the same if they became completely consistent? Imagine they suddenly became clear. They communicate. They show up. They stop disappearing. There's no guessing. No chasing. No waiting. No uncertainty. Would you still feel that same overwhelming attraction? If yes, you may simply have strong feelings for them. But if much of the intensity disappears when the uncertainty disappears, that's something worth understanding. Now, there's an important distinction. You may hear people say, unavailable people are addictive. That's far too simple. Uncertainty doesn't automatically make someone unhealthy. People get busy. Relationships go through difficult periods. And sometimes two people genuinely have strong chemistry while they're still figuring things out. The red flag isn't one late reply. It isn't one bad day. And it certainly isn't simply feeling nervous around someone you like. The concern is the repeated pattern. Strong attraction. Persistent inconsistency. Constant anxiety. Chasing. And emotional exhaustion. That's when it's worth stepping back and looking at what's actually happening. So the next time someone gives you that overwhelming feeling, that rush, that can't stop thinking about them feeling, don't automatically call it chemistry. Pause. Look at the pattern. Because chemistry says, I'm strongly attracted to this person. Compatibility asks, does this relationship actually work? And emotional safety asks, can I be myself here without constantly wondering where I stand? You don't have to kill the attraction. You don't have to walk away simply because something feels complicated. But you should be willing to separate intensity from compatibility. Because sometimes, the biggest red flag isn't that you feel too little. It's that you feel far too much about someone who gives you far too little certainty. And once you understand that, you may start seeing your attraction very differently. If you want more videos about the psychology behind attraction, red flags, and emotional patterns, subscribe to Red Flag Psychology. Because sometimes, the feeling isn't the warning. The pattern is.